Our final story is one of mental toughness. What began as a charity swim in the English Channel became so much more for Mark Scribner. During a time when he found himself alone in the dark, battling exhaustion and fighting to survive, Mark also uncovered the importance of balance in life. Let's take a look.
I've been a successful financial advisor for going on 30 straight years, and I've incorporated a lot of business and personal stuff into the work that I do for my clients. In looking at my business arc in my career, a lot of it is ultimately about limits and feelings, personally and professionally, just a lot of data points and experiences that have been created to try to figure out how to incorporate it all together. When you're doing something so dramatic, like trying to swim the English Channel, you're learning so much about yourself, and there's a lot of valuable data and a lot of life lessons that come out of those experiences where you can kind of like figure out if they're mappable to a business setting. It's trying to have an outcome in, again, personally and professionally is you're looking at an endpoint, but how do you get there? And a lot of it is ultimately how you master your emotions, your obstacles that are coming at you. Things will obviously go incredibly wrong or not to plan. And it's how you pull yourself together to ultimately overcome those challenges. And a lot of it is preparation, goals, life lessons that help you achieve like really massive results. I'm very much a visual person, so I have a lot of scenarios that I play out in my mind when I'm in adversity. Definitely the English Channel was one of them, and Ironman, for example, which I did for many years. When kind of stuff starts to go sideways, I get to focus back on what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and that language that I have with myself is ultimately what gets me through very difficult experiences. And that was the case in the English Channel when we got separated from each other in the middle of the ocean in the dark, and I was very close to having a panic attack, and I had to get my stuff together because it ended up being life or death if I didn't control my emotions and have a plan. And there's a lot of calculations that you have to do. But for me, visually, I just think about stories and the reasons why I do things, and that helps propel a better outcome for me. I think this book project really kind of added an extra layer of something that I drew together. For me, the anchor was Chris Voss, and he's a master of communication, and talks about tactical empathy, for example. These are all tools in life that you can use for communication, not just business. But when you start to make those connections, I think we all ultimately start to realize it is about communication and equilibrium, which is what my subject is about, is incorporating all those things together. But ultimately, it's just about finding better meaning and communication with people. At the end of the day, what we're trying to solve for is a feeling that someone is trying to achieve. So, for example, there's an outcome, and that could be feeling peace of mind. It could be lots of different things. You can call it whatever you want. But what we're trying to do in a successful business negotiation is achieve, in essence, how everybody feels like they won. And it's not like 50-50 in an equilibrium scenario, but as close to that as possible is where people feel good in a transaction. They feel good in a relationship, for example, when that ratio is starting to be in balance. And now we have things like AI that are helping in that case. And that's also what I discuss in my book, is some of the technology that's making that easier to happen than it was before. Some of this technology in the hands of good people, great things are gonna happen. Equally, there's some rogue actors out there. But where I see some of this technology starting to be very beneficial for a lot of people, it could be health, it could be business, it could be relationships, but it's giving us ultimately more time back to focus on the things that give us joy and happiness. It really comes down to listening, and the way you're asking questions determines usually the outcome. So the more that you can, as a thought leader, be a better listener than someone who's pronouncing a mandate, your clients, your audience, the world, if you listen, you get the right answers. You come into a transaction or a negotiation and you have kind of an end goal potentially where you want to be. But if you ignore the being able to be flexible and adapt and communicate and problem solve, which ultimately endurance is all about, because things go horribly wrong almost from the get-go. It's looking to work through the scenario and try to figure out what the solutions could be versus just being black and white and having an end result in mind, because you have to have flexibility in negotiations with business pretty much everywhere you go. I decided to do this project with this publisher for lots of reasons. My main initial draw was the Chris Voss connection. I had followed his work for many years, and I thought the publisher, not knowing what this project ultimately was going to be, was very happy and surprised how thoughtful it ended up coming out, because there's a lot of overlaps and a lot of tools, and just making the connection amongst the authors was very surprising. And as I mentioned, I also felt like as I started to read the other authors along with my contribution, I could see the connection. So there was a lot of foresight from the publisher to pull this project together, and it's going to benefit a lot of people, both in business and personally. When I say the true fight is you against yourself, I just look at it from my own life experience, where at least professionally I was told that I didn't add up to enter into the industry that I'm ultimately in and have become very successful. I've had many naysayers, many people that have told me no, which has been a source of motivation for me. I've turned the word no to on in most cases in everything that I do. And a lot of it is just reflection and just getting input from the things around me, and using that input to have personal and professional growth, and to learn to be a better communicator everywhere that I can. But adversity is fuel in some cases if it's used the right way, and that's the way I view life. Is the more challenges that are there, I think the more that I learn about being better at what I do and a better person.
Mark's journey is a testament to finding strength amid the waves and creating value in every negotiation, no matter how tumultuous the waters may be. Let Mark's story be an influence on us to find strength within ourselves and make a bigger impact each and every day.